Some people commented that my DIY absorbers are basically useless. One said that panels this size won't do anything for SBIR, another one said that the material and the fabric are not good enough, basically calling the whole build a waste of time. Now of course they are not like 800 euro absorbers, but for a fraction of the cost are they really useless? I want to make a couple of tests and look at scientific data to find out. You may have seen a recent video of me showing you how to build your DIY absorbers, and maybe also the other video where I installed those panels in a friend's studio, and the results were really promising. But today I want to test them properly and show clear evidence. Now these aren't lab standard tests, I don't have an anechoic chamber here, but they are practical, repeatable tests that show whether the absorbers are of any use or not. Let's start with SBIR. SBIR means Speaker Boundary Interference Response, and this happens when the speaker stands close to walls and the direct sound out of the speaker mixes up with the reflections from those close walls, resulting in some comb filtering, especially in the lows and low mids. And here's what I tested. First I did a reference measurement. I put up a speaker, a measuring microphone, and used a special measuring software that puts a sweep into the speaker, and you can measure the frequency response that the speaker is putting out. And here is the result I got as a reference. I didn't use any smoothing on this graph, just to see every little nuance. Next I placed the speaker close to a wall, just the way that it would probably be in a home recording studio where you don't have enough space to move away from the walls. And this is the measurement we got here. And if we now compare this to the reference measurement, the red line is the speaker close to the wall and the green line was our reference. And we can already see that the frequency response has changed, especially in the low mids. From 1K up, it's basically identical, but 1K down, we can see that the frequency response has changed. Here we have a huge dip, here we have another dip. So we can see that the reflections from the wall added up to the direct sound of the speaker and changed the result. Now let's see if we add an absorber behind the speaker, if we can reduce that problem. Now here is the measurement with the DIY absorber behind the speaker, and if we now compare it to our reference measurement, we can see that we are almost back to where we started with when there was no wall that was interfering with the sound of the speaker. Here in red we have the frequency response with the bare wall. The orange is the one with the absorber behind the speaker. And if we compare all three, we can see red is way out of shape compared to green and orange, the reference measurement, and the one with the absorber behind the speaker. So I think it's fair to conclude that the absorber does something. It may not be perfect, but it significantly reduces the comb filter artifacts that we got from the wall bouncing back at our listening position. So these absorbers not being efficient for SBIR is debunked. Now I set up a second test where I want to see how much reflections our DIY absorbers can remove from a bare wall. And to test this, I set up a speaker firing right at the big window between the control room and my recording room, because that's a really very reflective surface, and I figured this would be great for our test. So I set up a speaker that is pointing right at the big window, and a microphone that is going to record the reflection from the window over the speaker. You may ask, why did I put it so far over the speaker? Well, the big window is angled so that all reflections from the recording room are reflected towards the ceiling. That's better for recording because we don't have hard reflections right into the room. Now I added some extra absorbers just to keep the recording clean without too much room influence. And then what I did is I played a short burst of a click track from the speaker into the window and recorded the reflection. And let's see what it sounds like. Now let's see what happens if we place one of our DIY absorbers right next to the window, trying to catch those reflections. Now you may think, that sounds pretty much the same as the reflection of the bare window. But wait a second. First of all, the microphone is also catching what the speaker is playing. So it's not just reflection, but it's also direct sound. But now we can use a little trick to really extract what exactly the absorber has been reducing. So what we do now is we take our reference recording with the reflection from the bare window, and then we add the recording that we just made with the absorber, but just flip the polarity on it. And when we add those two, the direct sound from the speaker is cancelled out, and we are left with just what the absorber was removing from that reflection. And this is what it sounds like. So this is the amount of sound that has been effectively removed by the absorber. Now, is that a good result or not? Why not test it against one really premium absorber? My studio here is treated by the company ACM from Munich. This is really high-end company for acoustic treatment. So they sell really top-notch absorbers. We are going to take one of these, place it in the exact same spot as my DIY absorber, and repeat this test and see what the result is. So this is the recording. And if now again we do the polarity flip trick, we see what this absorber has been removing. And if we compare this again with my DIY result, I must say it's pretty similar. Not the same, they are not the same build, different materials, everything, but the amount of energy that has been removed from that reflection is pretty much the same. So I would say my absorber passed this little test as well. Now after these little tests, I want to show you again the measurement that we got in my friend's room that we treated with these absorbers. And if we look at the frequency response we got at the listening position in his room that we treated with these modules, I must say they did a good job. This is really not so bad for a home recording studio with just DIY stuff put in. Now let's address the critique that the fabric I used for the DIY absorbers is completely wrong. I used fleece blankets. Why? Well, because they are available everywhere and they are cheap, and I wanted to offer you a cheap alternative to really expensive acoustic fabric. And somebody said that this fleece material is blocking the sound and rendering the absorbers completely useless. Well, let's have a look at some scientific data. There are two criteria that could describe whether a fabric is usable for this task or not. First of which is noise reduction coefficient, which means, is that a porous material that is absorbing sound, or is it a reflective material that is reflecting sound and thus blocking sound from getting into the absorber, rendering the absorber useless? Well, the NRC of fleece is 0.15 in an average, which means that the fabric itself is absorbing sound. If you take Rockwool, for example, it has over a broad frequency range an NRC of 1.0, which means it's absorbing 100% of sound energy. And now fleece has 0.15, that's not a lot, but it's absorbing especially high end itself. But now the more important factor is air permeability of the fabric, which means how much air can pass this fabric. If you would take, for example, vinyl or leather sheets, they would have a permeability of 0, which means no air can pass this material, and this would be blocking the sound completely from getting into the absorber, which is basically the critique I got for using fleece blankets. But what are the numbers for fleece? Well, the average air permeability of fleece blankets is between 1,500 and 3,000 liters per square meters per second at 200 Pascal. This is a normed test, and the norm is called ISO 9237. So this material has been tested for exactly this air permeability, which is really telling you whether is it suitable or not for this job. I will link to the research data in the description of this video so that you can read it for yourself if you're interested. Now, let's have a look at let's say speaker cloth that is acoustically transparent, which would be the optimal for such an absorber. There you have an air permeability of around, let's say, 6,000 to 8,000 liters per square meter per second at 200 Pascal. And we are at between 1,500 and 3,000. So while it's not as transparent and not as good as speaker cloth, it's really highly breathable and it's not blocking sound at all. Maybe not 100% transparent, but let's say 95% or 90% transparent, which is really okay. And the rest, which is not going through, is being absorbed by the cloth itself. So data says it is usable for this task. And I would say you can use fleece blankets without any doubt. And now finally, let's have a look at the filler material. The wood fiber panels are used for these absorbers. The same viewer that stated that the fabric was not suitable for absorbers also said that the filler material is not suitable and that Rockwool 60 is far superior and that's the thing to use. Well, let's compare both. ISO 354 is the norm with which the absorption coefficient of materials are tested. And I have the data. I have the data from Rockwool 60 and I have the data from this company. Steiko is the name of the company that are making these wood fiber panels. They have the data. It has been tested according to this ISO norm. So let's have a look at the data. Here is a chart comparing in orange Rockwool 60 to Steiko Flex at the thickness of 50 and 60 millimeter. This is the closest match that I could find. I also have the data for thicker material for Steiko, but not for the Rockwool. But I will have another chart with extrapolation of the data to compare them a little bit more. But this is accurate data. So what we have is, yes, Rockwool has a higher degree of absorption. But if we have a closer look, basically you cannot absorb more than 100% of what you feed into a material. And yet Rockwool has a coefficient above 1 for a big part of the frequency range. This is due to the way these materials are tested, but basically you cannot absorb more than 100%. So what we can conclude is that both materials, let's say from 400-500 Hertz, have almost complete absorption of everything you feed into them acoustically. But this is only at 50-60 millimeter thickness. Now, if we have a look at 200 millimeter thickness, which is exactly what I used for the absorbers, there I have the data for the Steiko Flex. And if you look at this, we are over 100% absorption from 125 Hertz upwards, which is amazing. And Rockwool, this is an extrapolation, but it also looking really, really great. It's a wonderful material as an absorber. But why did I choose to use wood fiber panels? Just because they are easier to work with. You don't have this itchy, scratchy feeling when touching it, when cutting it. You don't need a dust mask to work with it. It's just nicer to work with. That's the reason I use this. If it was not for that, I may have used Rockwool. But as data shows, both materials are equivalent in their ability to absorb sound, so it is a great material to use. You can use it without any doubt. So now why did I make this video? It's not because I can't take critique or I'm upset because I got 1 or 2 salty comments that I did everything wrong. It was just in case you would read these comments and think, I don't know if I should do this or shouldn't do this. I wanted to show you some data, some tests, just to encourage you to give it a go. Don't be afraid. That material works really fine. It's inexpensive. It's easy to do. So give it a go and you will be happy with it. Oh, and since absorption is only one part of acoustic treatment of a recording studio, my next video will show you how to build a diffuser yourself with only little tools and with not a lot of budget, and they will outperform a lot of diffusers that you can buy for much more money. So stay tuned and see you in the next video. Bye bye.